that's basically just saying that I'm not good enough, right? And coming from the I'm not good enough place. Whereas when you just fully love yourself and you know what you're here to do and you value yourself, identity I used to have for myself was so far from where I was currently at that the ego would constantly get triggered. And I'm on this continual increase plane. We shift who you are internally, energetically, and from that place, you naturally output a certain baseline. Alecia Rep here. I am an executive coach and business and wealth builder. So, surprise is out of the bag. We actually invested in a DJI Pocket 3 camera to take our content to the next level. And I'm very excited. So with that being said, I wanted to do a little video series for a few reasons. I just feel like I have so much to say. I just spent 2.5 months back in where I grew up, Alberta, Canada, and there's always something to be said about going back where you grew up. And I feel like you learn so much about yourself and see how much you've grown and see where you still have some edges to smooth out and all of that. So I had some really big aha moments that I want to talk about in these videos that will serve you as a business owner and a rebel leader in owning more of yourself, integrating more of your identity into all areas of your life and business. And yeah. The other thing is I want to do this little series because I want to test, play around with this camera, see how it functions, practice, uploading the footage, editing, getting familiar with all these different processes. And the best way to do that is to, just do that. So that's kind of the reason I want to do this series, is just to share my lessons and learnings of late, practice playing with this fun thing, and kind of go from there. So let's just dive into the first topic, the first conversation really around identity. I always come back to identity work as, first of all, a human, but a leader, knowing I have big ambitions in life, knowing I'm here to do something that may be different than the normal path set out for us, And I find identity work is the fastest way to shift into your next levels, the new seasons of life, and fully integrating who you are and bringing that to everything you create, right? And a lot of people talk about identity work, right? So I don't want this to just be like a fluffy thing like identity, who are you becoming? But it's so true at the deepest core, right? And there's so many ways that you can bring more of your identity into your world, right? And I do believe the first part of that is an energetic piece, right? The internal, the energy you're holding inside, and letting go of a lot of past conditioning and letting go of trauma patterns and things like that, right? So even just before popping on this video, a little process that I ran myself through because I thought it was interesting around identity, right? So if you're on my Facebook or Instagram, you know that probably know that I spent 1 month of my 2.5 months in Canada buying an entirely new wardrobe. And this was part of my identity work because I just knew my clothes, my closet didn't match who I was or who I wanted to be anymore. And so I had to just upgrade that, right? And then I have this obviously higher self vision of all these cute outfits I can make, and just stay with me here. This is going to come back to identity. And all these cute outfits I can make and all the cool videos and photos I can take in my new vibes, right? And I just got back to Mexico. This is my second day back in Mexico, back in my house, back in my office, you know, and we can just put so much pressure on ourselves, right? And so I was like, just starting to feel a bit squirrely. I was like, I want to share, but I was like, my hair is a mess. I don't feel like putting on, you know, a whole outfit, but I have a voice. I want to share my message, right? I want to talk about identity. And so I was like, screw it. I'm just going to put on this amazing hat that I got. And this is a dress I already had. I already had these earrings, right? And I was like, the first piece of identity is energetic. So you are going to feel the energetics. That's actually more important than the physical, right? And even though I just got all this amazing new stuff, this camera that I'm shooting on included, it's like I can just show up in my new identity energetically, and that's what's felt most, right? Now, of course, the physical material things help. And of course, I'm gonna have a blast playing with all my new outfits as they naturally just like integrate into my life. But am I gonna let that stop me from showing up fully now? No. But my old self probably would have waited. My old self probably would have said, nah, you know, I gotta wash my hair first, put on a full face of makeup, and do all these things. That's basically just saying that I'm not good enough, right? And coming from the I'm not good enough place. Whereas when you just fully love yourself and you know what you're here to do and you value yourself and you're not operating from perfectionism and you show up in the powerful energy that you have, no matter if you have makeup on or if you've freshly shaven your face or if you put on your brand new clothing, right? It's like being the energy first and showing up from that place and letting the rest of it just be like a bonus plus of that, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you is identity starts from the inside out. You cannot fake it in this way, right? And so you are going to see amazing, fun, cool outfits coming up and cohesive looks all in my autumn tones that perfectly match my body shape, etc. Like that's all going to be coming out. But am I going to let stop myself from sharing what I want to share now? No! And I want you to take this as a lesson as well, right? How often are you letting either perfectionism or some of these other just like self-defeating patterns and loops and energies slow you down from creating the business and the life that you actually want, right? And I see this so often, like so often. But let's come back to the point. The first piece of identity is energetic. Really working on your internals. And a big piece of this is your triggers, right? What is triggering you? And can you see those triggers as lessons to show you where your edges are, to show you where you still need to do a little bit of work, right? And here's the maybe not so surprising, maybe surprising thing to you. No matter how successful you are, no matter how much work you've done on yourself, you're gonna have triggers. Nothing goes as perfectly planned. And there's always something, right? Whether it's a challenge or a trigger or a roadblock, road bump, something like that, right? And this is where the identity piece comes in. Who are you through those wobbles, right? I call them wobbles because it could be anything. It could be a fear, it could be a worry, it could be a trigger, it could be a trauma response, it could be a hiccup, anything, right? They're wobbles. But can you still have a blast in your life and business when a wobble is happening, right? And this is really gonna show your emotional intelligence. I used to get so triggered at things. I would take things so personally. I would sometimes let these triggers take me out for weeks, right? And I've gotten to the point now where I can like notice something and process it sometimes in minutes or even seconds, right? Because I've spent years and years and years and years working on myself, shifting my identity over and over again, doing healing through different modalities and therapy, and really just like holding myself and learning to love myself, right? And learning to love myself in the evolutions. And from that place, I get less and less and less triggered, right? And it's not to say that I don't get triggered still, of course. But even thinking about my summer back where I grew up, I was able to handle myself through some tough situations in a very calm way, right? Like spending the last moments with my grandfather as he passed away, and, you know, moving through delicate friendship things with a bestie and being able to talk through it, you know? Living in other people's homes, even just as simple as that, like living in other people's homes and spaces for a month at a time, 2 different months at 2 different places, and being able to navigate other people's thoughts, feelings, emotions, needs, and while also honoring my own, right? And being able to communicate all of that. Like, these are some new skills. Like, I might not have been able to do all of that, plus run a business, plus hold my clients and help them get results, plus be a partner to Troy, plus all these other things, if I hadn't built my emotional intelligence, right? And so I do believe that emotional intelligence and identity are so linked. But if I think about my past, when my identity, the self-image and the identity that I was dreaming about for myself was too far off from where I was actually in that moment, it created this incongruency, and the ego, not that they're lower or anything, but it's like, say this is the identity I used to have for myself was so far from where I was currently at that the ego would constantly get triggered. Like, you're not enough, you're not doing enough, you're never gonna be that person, like, how could you think that that's possible for you, you know, because the gap was so big. And then I started to bring them together, right? And then find that alignment and just become so happy with who I am now, and knowing from this place anything is possible. And I am, something that I do with myself and my clients is this is like an amazing energy thing. So like really write this down, but it's like the vibe that I live on is life just keeps getting better and better. Every year just gets more fun, more abundant. All of my results compound on each other in the same or less amount of effort. And that's really it. It's like, I'm not focused on needing to extract everything right now. I've come to this place where I fully trust myself. And like, as I'm sharing this, I really want you to start seeing yourself in this and how you can lead yourself, right? So I'm talking through my story, but I want you to like be able to apply this to you, right? So I have come to a place where I fully trust myself. I know my strengths. I know what I need to do in life and every day and week and month and year to show up. I know I'm always getting better. I know that life will just keep getting better and better, more abundant, more opportunities, bigger opportunities every year, right? Compounding. And I'm on this continual increase plane, right? And so I'm not worried about even say the small scale of like this month, right? I'm not worried about what this month means about my entire life, because I can see the longer vision and I know who I'm creating as a human and this life story in the long term, right? So when you have a longer term horizon, the today and even this month is so tiny, right? You're not so like, it's not so like this little box, right? You have space. And from that space, you create freedom. From that freedom, you create deeper creativity, deeper trust, deeper passion, deeper inner fire that's longer lasting, right? And I think this is the true freedom, right? So from this energy, from this stack of beliefs, because that's really what it is, beliefs and identity aspects, things like that, all your results come from that, right? So I was even explaining to one of my clients yesterday, she was feeling like a little bad, like, oh, I feel like I'm not moving fast enough. And so this was the reframe, right? And I want you to think about this as well. It's like, I could very well give you a social media strategy so that you implement it every day or every week and grow your business that way. But as soon as you stop that strategy, your business is going to stop progressing. The way that I do everything with my clients is we shift who you are internally, energetically, and from that place, you naturally output a certain baseline of results, right? And you can hold it on your own without coach, right? Forever. I mean, forever might be a big statement, but you know, you naturally hold this level of reality because you've learned how to hold it within yourself. It's not this external thing you're just doing. It becomes you. You are the output and you can hold it, right? And so this is how I think about everything. From my clients who are just building their first course to my clients who are, you know, almost at 7 figures cash collected since starting to work with me, to, all of them in between, right? We do it in a way where it becomes effortless. This could be a trigger word for some people, but I love this word because when you're working with identity in this way, it becomes effortless because it becomes second nature, part of who you are, by first like installing it into the subconscious, and then that repetition becomes second nature, which becomes effortless, which means then each year it's compounding. The results get bigger with the same action, which is insane. I love this. So yeah, very happy that I just pressed record and shared this video. There's literally so much more I want to share about identity, but I don't want to just blast it all in this video. I want to talk in the next one, hopefully I can remember this, but I want to talk in the next video about like your edge. So this is the vibe that I've been on the last week or so, and I've actually been on this vibe a few times in the past for me or my clients. It's like within your identity, there's a piece of it that you've been avoiding, and that very little thing is the thing that's going to bring you all of the next stage results that you are seeking. And by only focusing on an external piece, it's slowing you down from actually fully just becoming that and experiencing the explosive growth, because it's this little thing in your identity that you need to boop, pop it in, right? Like almost like, say for this DJI, when I turned it on for the first time, it's like, ooh, software update. That's the same thing. It's like software update for your identity, and then everything flourishes from there naturally. Anyway, this is what I want to talk about in the next video. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment below what your takeaways are. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them for you as well. Let me know if you enjoyed this DJI Pocket 3 video, if the sound is good, all of that. Let me know if you're loving this blue sky and the greenery. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video.